No. 2 olives.
Oh, we're on candid camera. Oh.
I'm talking about my olives on candid camera. What's wrong with you?
Facebook's a pain to fire up. It's like I'm waiting, preview.
I'm sitting here. I'm cutting my little names for the drawing, folks.
You're cutting.
I'm getting on it. Yes, we've got like the nerd bag. Okay, this is the party bag. It's been given away at halftime. So if you haven't shared the show, share the show, and we're gonna have fun tonight.
Oh, by the way, if you can read that faster, the topics are in the middle before the show starts. Too late. It's the George Burns and Gracie Allen of the spiritual warfare.
Of the nocturnal
or it's the mainstream, the paranormal.
Nightmare Olympics. Coming at you live.
And of course we have the three Zoojas. That's spelled Z-U-Z.
We have the rest of the Faster Five.
Yes, all three of them. Michael Norton, the Nortonator, who lives in the Van Halen belt. Actually lives
oh my gosh,
near
he just sailed off and he landed in Florida. Safely, he made it.
I'll put it this way. His house used to get papers delivered by Eddie Van Halen when he was just a tyke running on his bicycle, paying for his brother's drum set because originally he was playing drums, And then we have Christopher Sampson, not walking.
Our resident almost...
Needs more cowbell.
Our almost seminarian.
And, of course, Deb Johnson, the gracious, the lovely, the talented,
the wonderful,
Connecticut
the
lady.
most haunted.
And still haunted.
Our bestest sister out in the eastest, without a broom.
Mm-hmm. My adopted sister. Anyway, everybody, thanks.
You notice how she says hi to you? I guess you should.
Oh no, did I lose her? Oh, she forgot to take it off and mute.
Oh, but that's okay. She can say hi to us.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
But I did have it muted.
We allow for that because you're not the main host, so it would come up pretty bad.
I know I'm not the hostess with the mostest.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's the hostess with the super mostest.
Hope everybody's healthy out there. How about on the East Coast? You healthy? You got a sniffle still? Anything lining the lungs?
You guys got rid of all that flu stuff over there, Deb?
Oh, everybody's fine so far.
Oh my gosh, good.
Yeah, it was a nice day you went over there, huh? T-shirts, tank tops, polar bear.
And we're supposed to get 4 to 8 inches Saturday night.
I knew it. I was waiting for that. Just to mess you up.
Not funny, but...
Aren't we supposed to get snow on Saturday?
I don't want to think about it. Let's just say a prayer and let's get going. We've got so many topics tonight to talk about, folks. So just...
There you go. St. Michael the Archangel. Oops, I'm sorry. I forgot to sign in. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the malice and the snares of the devil. And may God rebuke him, we may humbly pray. And do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine powers of God, cast into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits who roam through the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. All righty.
And it is time for the quick reality bite so we can leave it behind, folks. No, seriously, this is something, we really have to cover, and I know that a couple of people we talked to about covering it tonight basically said, oh, don't talk about it, it's a tragedy and everything else. But you know what?
Okay.
We can't ignore the elephant in the room. We just can't. And the elephant being the combination of over-medicating our children and people with depression as well as mental illness and guns. It's a very, very, very difficult topic, and it's very difficult to think about. Our hearts, our prayers are with all the families, the people affected, including the loving family that took the young man in, that committed the heinous crime, that took the children out in a Florida school just yesterday. That said, there is nothing anybody can say to take a parent's pain away after losing a child. And we don't want to continue to focus on the hurt, the pain. We want to tell people there is hope, and this is not the only life there is. And tragedy, senseless tragedy like this, doesn't completely go away, but it will heal in time. And we're just praying for forgiveness for everyone involved, for those, especially the coach that threw himself in front of all those children to shield them from bullets.
And when people go before their time, you need to pray for them. Don't assume that they went straight to heaven. But martyrs are supposed to go straight to heaven. And throwing yourself in front of
that's
a bunch of
definitely
kids.
martyrdom.
He was an assistant coach too.
Oh my God!
And a security guy got shot too. I don't remember what he was doing. Was he?
I think he was.
And a janitor was being heroic. Isn't that amazing? The janitor.
Yes.
Wow, I remember Mr. Gill from my grade school. It's like I just remember that really strong aqua velva or whatever it was. I think they tried to use it to cover up the stink, you know. And I think he actually might have like lived in that closet too, like I think Goober did on Andy Griffith.
Goober.
Goober, or you know, he had a cot at the gas station, you know, Goober on the Andy Griffith show.
You're so funny.
All right, let's see. Move to the news. Not like we're not there already, huh? There's no news like the good news.
That's right. We're going to good news, folks, after we just said
I don't have any good news. Oh, sorry about that. Let's see.
You're such a menschkadoodle. What the heck's wrong with you?
I'm sorry. I don't have any good news. Can you think of any real quick so we can take people back out of this?
Yes, we had a lovely day today.
Yeah, it was a nice day. The pond almost looks like it's summer. Just doesn't have the lilies and whatever that pond stuff that grows in there. Not the algae, the flowers that keep the algae from growing. See, I'm not the pond person here. I just.
So, folks, we're getting into some of our hottest topics tonight. We've got so much to cover, and thank you all for who did share. I mean, I have got Doris and Cheryl and Michael and so many people that have shared. Thank you, Michael, and Christopher Sampson and
Hey,
Doris,
Michael, you guys are disqualified. You're on the show. You know how it works, isn't it?
I can't put their names in.
Right.
No. You're supposed to share anyway. We expect that. So you got that means if we draw them, you get to pick somebody. That's how you do it. Pick someone in the chat room. That's how we'll do it, okay?
Totally.
All right, so what's the big spinning wheel here that we're going to do? We're going to do this one.
Goes round and round.
Right here.
Round and round. Upside down.
Let's get this little...
I like the wheels
what
on
is
the
this?
bus.
What? Trying to get in the way.
The wheels on the bus.
I don't want to quote.
Go round and round
How do you
all over town.
Eds.
Oh my gosh.
It's gone crazy. It won't let me close it.
This is just spaz.
I want to reload this. This is ridiculous.
I'm gonna reload your brain.
Isn't this a
Oh,
UK?
I'm getting hearts. Oh my gosh, there's so many hearts. Thank you guys. We heard you too. I've got grapes for you.
Next time I'm going to take samples. I don't want to resume that.
I'm getting hearts. I love it. There's so many hearts dancing, and my hair's sticking straight up. Oh my gosh, that's scary.
Oh my gosh.
I'm getting hearts and tarts. Hi Cheryl. Hi Sonia. Hi Steve. Hi Rose. Hi Jennifer. Hi Doris.
Okay, meditation doesn't make you a calmer person.
Meditation?
And this is not just a Buddhist practice. So
that's right. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
What does meditation do to me, honey?
It leaves people just as aggressive and prejudiced, reveals the study. So in other words, you're wasting your time. So you have a peaceful moment, but you're not getting more peaceful about life. And I kind of figured that. I think there's a kind of self-explanatory there a little bit for some of us that dabble in the mental arts. Like the Three Stooges, Oh, I got to get that over a little bit here so people can see it. My face is blocking it. Yeah.
Your face is always blocking something. Can I see that?
Yeah, so every 8-year-old in the world is taught meditation. If every 8 in the it's so small I can't even read it now. The world would be without violence within 1 generation, the Dalai Lama claims, if every 8-year-old in the world was taught meditation. Well, it doesn't change your disposition. I mean, you're connecting to yourself. I mean, how much you're going to learn from yourself if you're already angry?
Yeah.
It's more kind of a thing that we say, and we talked about this before, that meditation opens you up. And when we do the rosary, we meditate, but we plug in Jesus, the life of Jesus, in meditation. And that's why you can actually get peace from it, because you're connecting in contemplative prayer. All right. You Jedi. you do force bubbles.
No, I'm forcing the meditation. I'm forcing the meditation.
Let's see who's all got to say what about this. Who should we start with?
Let's pick on Christopher, because I know Christopher had to meditate some of his week last week, because he was definitely like, am I going to make it this week, or am I going to throw an orange at their forehead and watch them change?
I think that's meditating. Make sure I get to it every day.
Every day.
Christianity, we've got a rich history of meditation too. But as far as the difference, which is quite vast, is that the Eastern meditation practices and stuff. I don't want to blanket term them or blanket define them, but most of them, it is to get to that, they're running the chaos of the day. They're sitting there still. They're breathing. They're watching their breathing, and it's to get to a point of zero, to get to a point of stillness. But then, what's the flip side? There is no okay, great, fine. You get to a point of stillness. You get to a point of calm, but that shouldn't be the end result. That shouldn't be the end goal, because, okay, you've reached a point of stillness, but what are you then going to turn to and add to it, like you were talking about, like the practice of the rosary? Or, another big one is sitting and reading a section of the Word of God, and then closing your eyes and mentally, what we would describe it in seminary, mentally chewing on that particular passage. Our tradition as Christians and our meditation is, okay, we quiet down, the chaos of the day, the screaming of the kids, the phone calls, and people cutting us off in traffic, whatever it is. Okay, I've got to a point of stillness, but I'm here to listen. There is something there I'm there to listen to. It's not just a point of stillness. I'm here to listen to something. I'm here to turn to something, because something wants to speak to me, and that person is God. And so I just want to point out that difference between us and them.
Yeah, and it's, the Om thing too is just, what do they call that, a centering prayer? I think this also applies. Mike, so how about that, Mike? So all these years of your transcendental meditation.
All these years of surfing on the stars out there and catching the stardust down at the sands, and eating dirt sandwiches out there with the Burning Man people, and sharing. What do? They trade napkins for sandwiches and stuff,
or something like that, something crazy. Like that. But that just reminded me of what Chris was talking about. I go, oh man, I have visions of Burning Man again. But, we bring these people to tent and minister to them. The same thing. They're trying to purge themselves, I want to teach you how to meditate. Like, no, I'm going to purge myself. No, this is different. We're going to teach you to fill yourself. And they're going, what? Because this has reached a state of Zen Buddhism where you just totally empty yourself. It's kind of interesting, because that's where we go out there and try to give them first encounter with God. We'd have to sneak in and call it their creator, but once some people really got it, felt his experience, and we go, no, guess who this is? And we'll go, that's God. Like, no way. I totally felt that. So it's crazy how society reflects upon this. Like, maybe Christians don't know what you're doing until they actually experience it.
Isn't that crazy?
So it's crazy stuff. But I also see the demonic side of purging too out there in Burning Man. I've seen more of enough of it. I remember one of my friends we worked with. We kept saying, like, we had enough of seeing this yoga garbage of these men. It was just, when they walk around us, if this Holy Spirit was around you, they'd manifest. Eyes are rolling in the back of their head. So I can't say anything good about Zen Buddhism. I've just seen, even from Asia, I've seen the bad parts of it too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Farah?
Deb. Okay.
Deb.
You want me to go first?
Okay. Well, do you have anything to add real quick before you go mute again?
Well, knowing when it comes to Buddhism and the monks and stuff, I know they do have a lot of cats. They have many cats surrounding them. And their meditation is not the same as my prayer meditation. They do fast, but I fast when I have my prayers for certain things that I have to do.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't need cats surrounding me, and I don't need goats surrounding me.
Goats, I know. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
I saw some
gosh.
documentary a long time ago, and I had never been able to find it since. I don't know the name of it. I don't know what the topic was. It was about early Christianity or history of religion. I don't know. But they were talking about the influence of the early Christians on Buddhists and how much the Buddhists had borrowed from the early Christians. You know, probably even monk, you know, the terms and all that stuff. But I think chanting was one of the things they picked up. And what was the thing that, Deb, you just said a minute ago that you'll typically get the Buddhists to do?
What?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
Oh, well, I know that a lot of them also surround themselves with cats.
Oh, yeah,
And
animals.
I don't know what that has to do, that they feel peaceful around with cats, and, you know, I've seen it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Farah.
Oh, I just wanted to comment. I'm sure I hope I don't steal your thunder. Quite a few of the churches, including the non-denominational to the denominational, such as the Catholic Church, have been inundated lately with this variety and offshoot of New Age centering prayer.
Yeah.
And yeah, you've heard about it too. And what they're doing is they're using these prayers that are traditionally have been used in the church, and they say that they begin with that, but they use it as a centering tool. Now, the word center, okay, that center is who? It's not God, it's you. So if the center is you and it is not God, if you are starting from you and reaching for God, don't you kind of have to basically not center on yourself and center on God? So the focus is what kind of bothers me in a sense that it's so borderline New Age that even though you may be using what you think are Christological prayers that are centered on Christ, I think there's a great note of caution that needs to be addressed in no matter what religion you are. If you're going to attend a meditation that's including centering prayer, what's the focus? What are you centering really on? And is the mix of, shall we say, meditation, the feeling of Zen, if the focus is on feelings and how do you feel and how do you feel and how do you feel after this, no, that has nothing to do with meditating on who God is or what he is or what he does, because God isn't about feelings. If God wanted everybody to feel good, trust me, they would be like passing out chocolate from the altar instead of body of Christ. They'd be like, hey, get over here. I got chocolate donuts. I got punchkis. I got pastries. That would be like feeling heaven. But we're not about feelings. And
But like you said, centering on yourself,
yes,
how they talk about that, that's what yoga is all about.
That's true.
Very true, Deb. Yeah, very true. Very true.
There's some similarities between Hindu and Buddhist, and that's one of them.
Oh,
even that
yes.
position, they sit in that triangular position.
Yeah.
You know, and they're kind of.
Wasn't there some also about the rhythmic breathing that was also demonic? I remember reading that a while back. Part of that breathing is like, it's not normal. I can't remember what the whole deal was. If you guys remember what that is?
Yeah, exactly what it is. What they do is they teach you, and this is a very interesting thing because they do this for pregnant women too. And there is something to be learned that can be positive in the same way that you would hold your breath to go underwater. This is how I equated it with the women in the pregnancy class. When you hold your breath to go underwater, you're holding it so that you can swim farther. When you are holding your breath so that you can exhale it and exhale yourself and then you draw breath in so that you can draw in the center, the kundalini, and the spirit of the creator. How do you know that you're not getting, rotten McDonald's worm burgers? You don't. You don't.
Got a kundalini snake spirit.
You really don't, because the focus is not on Christ. The focus is not on the real creator, the God of all things. The focus is on, let's bring in the spirits. Let's let my breath out and bring it on. That's kind of scary.
That's what they labeled it New Age movement for how long since Johnny had his first album? Could that... we used to call that kind of like, not classical.
I got you more hearts.
Before they came up with the word New Age.
Got some grapes.
But that's the problem. Everybody's looking for a good feeling, and they even think that if a demon's giving you a good feeling, that it can't be possibly a demon. It must be a guardian angel or a spirit guide or whatever. And we got to watch that. Don't go by your feelings. Trust your feelings, Luke. Hi, what do you know?
If you guys are checking out meditation classes or centering prayer classes or a class that says, and especially if they're given at your church, okay, talk to your pastor. Find out who started the class. What's the point of the class? Is the class going to begin and end with prayer? Is the class going to involve, Michael's saying, some kind of breathing exercises where you're like, give me some more spirit, but you're not saying the Holy Spirit? Just be really cautious, kids.
The other thing I noticed too is when I was taking the Lectio Divina course here at the local church, and they brought in the Buddhist gong.
Did you say
like a little gong? It's like, what's this? It's like, quit taking it. Like, what's this?
Oh, merciful heaven!
But in San Francisco, you see it a lot too. Like, what on earth?
A gong.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like the Steak and Shake guy? Did out there at 2 a.m. Yeah, I miss those guys. Remember that? He's banging a gong out there, and the cops show up, and he runs off.
I was going to say about 20 years ago there was a movement, and it was. It seemed like when I would go with other seminarians to visit their home parishes, a lot of these quote-unquote progressive religious sisters had introduced the practice of the labyrinth, walking the labyrinth, and they were advertising this quite extensively. Like I said, this was about 20 years ago when I was in a major seminary, and I mean, they would even have portable ones on cloth that they would, lay out on the floor in like the parish meeting hall and light their candles and invite everyone to walk the labyrinth and partake and get to the center. And in a way it was a form of the centering prayer. But
wow.
I have not heard much about that, but it did make me think real quick of in our parish now there is a interdenominational prayer group started by one of these religious sisters, and I will not attend it. I don't agree with what I've heard, but apparently they all kind of get together and sit in quiet and stillness and wait for some movement of the spirit.
Oh no.
And then they kind of go from there.
Oh no. Take your Nerf gun and squirt them all down, Christopher. Fill it with that holy water and go commando on these kids. Say, no, I must save your souls. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's scary, Christopher.
Very, very scary.
Very scary.
Very, very scary.
Hey, Denise had a good point. Her doctor has got her doing these breathing exercises, and she wanted to know if that's the same thing, and I want her to know, heck no, that is not the same thing. When you're doing breathing exercises as directed by a doctor, he's trying to get you to modulate your breathing so your blood pressure comes down. Because when you breathe in deeply for 6 to 7 breaths and let it out, it's called 4-square breathing. It is perfect for your blood pressure, okay? Nothing more, nothing less. You're not calling spirits, you're not letting anything in. And like Christopher said, you're not sitting there waiting for something to come and tap you on the shoulder and go, hey, baby, I'm here.
Anytime you're dealing with oppressed and possessed people, a certain kind of level of trying to convince the mind that you're conquering this thing, even besides a placebo. I'm talking about you have to have the right frame of mind, or it's not going to work when a priest even does it. If you don't believe it's going to be gone, you don't want it to be gone, and that sort of thing. So, like, you can do. There's people who've done things where they like hold their breath and they let it out, and picture like darkness, like black smoke coming out of you when you're breathing out, and then when you're sucking it in, you're sucking in like a light from heaven or something to sort of aid that positive, put your mind in a positive state. But they tell you it's like you should focus on the cross of Jesus. Like you're breathing in his breath or something. I don't know, something positive, inhaling, and then it's entering, and then at the same time when you exhale, you're exhaling. And for some it could be a placebo. For some, it's just aiding the solving the oppression, where other things might not have worked, over a period of time. Now, it's not going to be that drastic, obviously, but it's another part of the element, like getting rid of your heavy curtains that block the light out of the house and let the sunlight in, all those environmental changes. Just a little bit like that. Let's move on to the next topic. As they say in England, next topic.
All right, darling. What are we going for? Oh, was this the nude AI village?
The new church of the AI god is even creepier than I imagined. And this is a CNET, one of the tech places. So even a guy who likes tech a lot,
Now I want to be one of those cats on the video.
That looks like Michael Myers.
It totally does. It is.
Put him in a cabin, man. I'm not going in there.
Oh my gosh! It's the total Michael Myers mask. The only thing he needs is like a hockey stick or something.
Come here so I can stab you. Come here so I can stab you.
Exactly.
I know.
Oh my gosh, this is so bad.
But I think it's self-explanatory.
I wouldn't pick a new church to come on that, knowing that they could possibly dress it
That's the irony, though. If they're calling that a god, we're sitting there ridiculing it. Like, come on, where are these people brains at?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, the weird thing is how far will this get? I mean, you're getting to idolatry. Remember the old Egyptian times? They said that the statues would actually move and talk to them. It wasn't just that they sat there like idols of clay or stone and just sat there and it's like, aren't you going to say anything? Because it wouldn't get too far. So that was true for all of the forms of idolatry for the most part back in some of those, ancient times before Jesus. And the evil was, believe it or not, more prevalent in the world. That's why we end the show with the battle's already been won. A big one's been won. If people only knew what it was like back then, they should give people frankincense and myrrh as a gift. And it's worth as much as gold, brought by a king. What's that tell you? What we use frankincense and myrrh for? It's the thing you're supposed to use, not sage, all right? But imagine a time when the AI gods, or whatever the bot gods created by man, so the guy who created it must be the creator. And then he kills them. It sounds like Star Trek episodes being revisited,
right.
doesn't it, Mike?
Yeah.
It sounds like an old Star Trek episode, I swear. It's like they thought of this stuff already. And then suddenly all of the people out there who try to claim the superiority or whatever, like I don't know, Islam and Satanism, and suddenly the AI god is above everybody because the government's enforcing it, and they're going to basically, give you a cattle prod if you don't bow and worship to the mechanical god or whatever. And we'll see how well that goes.
Some 14-year-old on YouTube's going to hack it from London.
Wow.
Yeah.
That will be interesting.
Yeah, is it gonna be friendly to both men and women?
It's just so
also
demonic.
Or is it just going to be
Right.
leaning one side?
It's just so demonic. I don't understand.
You can see some of the text here. Sorry about that. I had some of it blocked off, and people want to read it. I've been praying that more would come to light ever since the existence of a God-bot religion called Way of the Future was revealed.
That's like,
this
remember?
fall.
Does everybody remember the Journey to the Planet of the Apes? Where they're worshiping that bomb underneath.
The missile.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the missile. And I was like, okay, what am I missing here? When I saw that, what was I missing here? I feel the same now. What am I missing? What's to worship about a bot?
Yeah, they had that line in there. It's like, glory be to the bomb. And it's like, oh, good.
Just so wrong.
I just can't imagine it. It's like, okay, it's obviously flawed because a god can't be killed, right? So, I mean, you can cattle prod it and probably short-circuit him, or you can get him caught in one of those Star Trek AI subroutine, errors, Remember like he did with the fembots and everything, Captain Kirk? It's like, and how about Nomad, this one that was built by aliens, partly from an old Voyager probe or something that came from Earth, and he got him stuck on some sort of, you must eradicate the imperfect, right, Nomad?
Right.
You are imperfect. You didn't know I was not your creator. Error, must eradicate. And then he kills himself, So we'll be able to destroy these gods pretty easy, as I could say. All you have to do is remind him he was built by the Kirk, whoever this guy is who's going to build the AI robot.
This is back to lofty thoughts of oneself, right?
Yeah.
It's like the technology's not even there yet, and they're throwing this thing on a pedestal or an altar.
We're joking about this now because we still can legally.
If they found, a giant squid at the bottom of the earth and it burped at it, they'd put it on a pedestal.
Like I go back to that Mork and Mindy episode where David Letterman was like peddling some cult of the head of lettuce. I think it was, right? Head of lettuce. Yeah, so, I mean, it can be anything. And I'm not too impressed with Alexa and some of these other devices already, so it's like, yeah, right. I don't care if you can memorize stuff. My computer can already do that much. Go away. I'll look forward to being on the resistance that takes it down.
Exactly.
I don't know if I want to be a starfighter. Maybe I'll be a ground team. Who wants to join me? Plant the charges. Here. Touch. Right over here, Chewie. Here, put one over there. But that's probably where we'll end up, I mean, we have to destroy the evil.
That is pretty evil.
Yeah. I guess we can beat that one to death because it will be beat to death, and I'm going to use a spike club that'll beat the whole.
I don't want to beat that poor thing to death.
Yeah. And it'll be illegal to talk bad about robots soon because they'll be declared some sort of race. Just wait.
I'll just identify myself as a robot and bypass the law.
I wonder if they're going to get like free oil changes, and I wonder if the bennies are going to be, really good.
Free
oil change. I mean, it's like, what kind of cool stuff are they going to get? I mean,
right?
It's like,
throw us a bone. What is it?
Identify as a robot. What would I get?
You want to be one of that.
That is such a Valley Girl thing. What do I get?
A lot of accessories.
Yeah.
You'll be like that robot from that old 1920s science fiction.
That could be scary.
The sleek robot with the finish.
Plateau Ecto was a guy.
Yeah.
The yours stood still. Plateau Ecto. Yeah.
Me, I'd be just like Bender from Futurama.
Right.
I'm so glad I don't know what Futurama is. I can't even imagine what kind of benefits a robot's going to get.
If I had an in-house producer, I would have the picture up in 5 seconds.
Right.
Or he'd be fired.
Stephen Hawking's head in a jar with it, too, yeah.
That's a roundtable question. What kind of robot would you like to be? Let's see. We didn't hear from Deb. And don't say the carpet.
And you're not going to either.
You're not going to either.
Oh, you're not going? You're not going there? You don't want to be R2-D2?
Nah.
You don't want to be a transformer?
No, I'm not into that type of stuff. I mean, I love my Star Wars.
Metal, right?
But I find robots to be creepy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now they're being so, well, they're under so much diabolical intentions with all the scientists. So that's kind of creepy.
Very.
In the labs and stuff.
Speaking of more creepiness, where would we be if we weren't more into this?
Talking about what kind of robots you wanted to be?
Oh, not robots, no. I already gave you my robot, Bender.
We didn't ask Christopher and Mike.
Yeah. And he has a cooler in his chest, too. He opens his door. It sounds like a little refrigerator.
That's right. You can time travel, too.
Oh, my God.
Wow. Okay, well, here we go. Here's another piece of news here. So we'll try to keep it as little political as possible. someone named Pastor Bagley, who appeared at one of the prayer breakfasts or whatever at the beginning of the inauguration process, the transition. Melania Trump demanded spiritual cleansing in the White House, removal of pagan and demonic idols. Well, I don't know what was in there before.
That's kind of scary.
But you can imagine.
It must have been something tasty.
Yep. And she probably spent one night in there and found out the place is haunted, and which country is she from again? She's from one of those like Czechoslovakia?
Russia? Yes.
Yeah, Slovakia.
One of the, right?
Slovakia,
yeah, one of those.
Maybe they got more like, because in the United States, they got a different attitude about ghosts, even though they believe them equally. In Slovakia, they probably get rid of it instead of going over and trying to test it with meters, and probe it. Guys, everybody's getting like the UFO aliens out there, Got to probe everything.
That sounds like you.
Yeah, but the story, I continually read it, and one person said it wasn't real, but there was some offbeat website, so you can't go by that. I mean, it's like going to Snopes, and they have that they lean one direction or something. But here's the notes of it, if Farah could read it for us. Can you see that, dear?
Probably not.
Can you read it? Can you read it? Yeah, I'm going to have to crop the pages next time because this doesn't blow up enough. And these stupid ads.
Rearrange my mic so that I can, correctly read it. Basically, folks, what we decided to look at was the fact that for whatever has happened in the past in the White House, we always need a good house cleaning. And a good house blessing is always in order whenever you move into a new house, whether you move into an apartment, or let's just say you're traveling to see Aunt Millie 3 states over and you're staying in a hotel room. It's a good idea to bless it and make it yours and kick out anything that's in there. Melania, for whatever reason, she decided that since it is public knowledge that there have been astrologers from Reagan to, I can't think of all the presidents, I'm sure you guys can help me. There's been astrologers, there has been table tipping spiritists, there has been Reiki, a number of different things have gone on in there. Now they talk about removing idols. I'm not quite sure what the idols might have been, but it could have been anything as harmless appearing as maybe some beautiful African masks, to maybe some Zulu dolls, to maybe some Haitian figurines. We really don't know. But does anybody else remember the presidents and the presidents' wives that have had, horoscopes, and they've had psychic parties in there? Do you guys remember that stuff?
Supposedly Hitler, didn't he?
Yeah.
And reports of, I was even thinking, of them going, past presidents going to that Bohemian Grove thing with the owl bird idol.
Yep. The big owl, whatever giant owl is,
Yeah,
right.
That's right. Oh my gosh. So yeah, Rose Ellis is saying, Nancy Reagan, that was definitely one of them. She was just one of many. I mean, Lady Bird Johnson reportedly had psychics in there.
Yeah, so seances.
Seances on a regular basis. She was a big follower of her Houdinis, too.
So did Roosevelt's wife.
I mean, and it's just one of those things. I mean, supposedly Reagan was not allowed to go do something because Nancy had his horoscope drawn and saw that, something was going to happen to him. He didn't go, and as it was, he was, of course, safe, but... when you mess with the dark side's going to mess with you, folks. So it's best not to. So I think, Melania, totally 2 thumbs up. And speaking of which, folks, if you guys are having fun, can you give this video a thumbs up? Can you guys go up there and hit the like for me? Because when you hit the like button, that means more people are going to see it, more people are going to come in and have fun with us, and they're going to give you some competition. Well, maybe not. They probably won't learn to share yet. But
now you ruined it. I don't want no competition.
Give us a thumbs up.
I want to be the winner. I know.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Well, I don't know how much more there is to say about that particular topic. We talked about blessing hotel rooms on several 10 shows ago. anytime you go anywhere, for even a couple of days, they tell you to bring holy water or salt. I don't like salt because you got to vacuum it up, but it's a corrosive, so it's like I'll bring the blessed acid,
Yeah.
So I'll bring holy water. Even holy water is better. At least you can wipe it down. But no, I wouldn't do that. Just bring, the water, and then that's what basically, if you're going to be in the White House for the next 4 years, and someone left some of their weird stuff there from the past. I don't know how old some of that stuff was. But
that's crazy.
recently, I don't want to get political, but I read an article that Obama said that he's Muslim. Remember that he said he was Christian all those years, so.
Yeah.
And everybody said that in his past interviews he said he was Muslim, and then when he got closer to being a president or a senator, he didn't say Muslim anymore, but he kind of avoided the question. But we don't know what people really are. They could be Satanists sometimes, so it's a good safe precaution. I think that's what the bottom line of that is. I think that kind of
wow, Jennifer is saying the Clintons participated in voodoo. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's time for what?
I don't know. What do you call it?
I'm scared.
It's time for what? Oh, you're asking me. Oh, okay. It is time for a break. No, just kidding.
A break already? I don't think so. We got like 15 minutes.
How did that happen? Wait a minute. We got 15 minutes?
Yeah, we still have.
Here, let me go in there and put this one up for everybody real quick.
Well, he's playing rotating topics, folks, and we got so much to talk about. We still got to do part 2 of the Ouija board.
Yeah, that's coming up. That's coming up, but we better fit it in, so we'll have to do that. We'll have to do that next. Okay, now look at this. Now we're going to go back into here. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just do this here. Okay, we're back on one of these topics again. This is 3 a.m. If this video would just open up all the way, that would be nice. Technology, folks. This is why we don't want an AI god. The YouTube AI is really annoying the way it discriminates against everything that goes against their spiritual and political beliefs. Okay, now it's doing it again. Okay, come on, let's just load this up. All nice and neat. Okay.
We can be talking about it while you.
On this episode of Fellowship of the Swords, we'll be discussing 3 a.m. This significant. Oh, let me shut it off. Good grief! Just think.
Oh my gosh, honey. It's time to.
Okay, I'm going to try another browser.
It's time to light the lights. It's time to start. Unforgettable. Inspirational.
It's the topic. It's haunted.
Okay.
All the other ones come up no problem, but here's
Where's
YouTube
the
for
puppets?
you. Oh yes, it's a blank page. Oh boy, is it showing blank there too? Yeah.
Oh, we got a video camp last time. It was you guys? It was those guys.
That is so funny.
Fellowship of the Swords TV.
We'll go to hard way on this stuff real quick. All right, go back to the regular screen for a minute until I get that up. There we are.
What's up?
Because it's acting stupid.
Oh my.
Okay.
Hang in there, folks.
Hold on. Hold on.
Temporary brain glitch.
Maybe. Wait. What? I wonder if we're having. Nope, we're not. I was like, wonder if we're having internet connection problems.
Anyway, as we were bringing up our other topics that we're talking about tonight, he is looking for a specific video feed just to give you some visuals on what we're going to be talking about. And yes, Jennifer, we agree. Loads of holy water. Loads of holy water. And Steve is saying, okay, when do we get to talk about Lita from the Love Curse on the Haunting? We're going to get to that, Steve.
We will get to that, promise.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something to mention about that too. Okay, so I am here, but I've ignored my click.
And
okay,
the next topic is, Ken?
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
The significance of 3 a.m.
We recently had somebody contacted us that had a deceased relative, And things have been going really, really, the healing process has taken many, many years. And what happened probably in the last 2 years is there have been a lot of supposed visitations from this person, as far as little things moving, doors shutting, just mild stuff, lights turning off and on. Now, it was fine when the stuff started and stopped during the day. When you believe that your deceased relative is going to wake you up by dropping something in the other room at 3 a.m.,
Right.
because why would God allow a spirit to disturb your sleep?
Yeah, it's torment. It's depression.
And that's basically, kids, it goes to what's the fruit? What is the essence of what the spirit's doing?
Okay, let's see if I can. This is part of the conversation. It tells you how far people off. So I have to move it over to here, and then. Sorry about that, dear.
It's all right, honey. I think I'll just I'll go in the other room and eat a block of cheese.
Okay, all right now. So it's another. We were talking before about these people who were commenting on another post called "Can Demons Do Good?" And everybody agreed that they could, except for, of course, the people who put it up, us. And it was just crazy. So you can go back a few videos and watch that. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I guess. You got some in here that have interesting things, but a lot of them are confused. There's people who go by this Kundalini. Look at the stuff that's on the right over here. Waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. a sign of spiritual awakening.
It's kind of crazy.
Look at this. You got some of these God gives a 3 a.m. wake-up call. It sounds like they're halfway there.
Yeah.
If you wake up 3 a.m. or 5 a.m., this is a must-see. Look at this. Now, signs of spiritual awakening. See, they keep calling it spiritual awakening. Of course, there's one of our things here. So they put the spin on it, and we're getting a lot. Oh, someone says I look like Mark Hamill. That's funny.
Now, that's funny.
Remember our video that we, the Fellowship of the Swords, dear, so I'll have to put a lightsaber on next time when we do those. But the point is, we have people just as confused on this one, and this is why I don't contribute to this channel anymore. I'm giving to the children. But it's well, we explained in the video, I thought, pretty well, and the nutshell of it is I know the old idea that comes from the School of Parapsychology and all that, Ed Warren people's, is that 3 a.m. is a mockery of the Trinity. It's so much more to that. I mean, you really think that they're going to wake you up at 3 a.m. and could it knocks the Trinity? You're not going to get it. So how's it going to make a point? Well, it's actually like, if you want to get into that metaphysics thing, how about that the veil between this earth and hell is at its thinnest at 3 a.m. Because Jesus died on the cross at 3 p.m. He ascended into heaven at 3 p.m. That's when the veil between this world and heaven is at its thinnest. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, that's definitely more plausible than saying, the 3 a.m. represents a mockery of the Trinity. Now, although they do that when they knock, why 3 times? It's symbolic.
And you want me.
That's true. Isn't that funny? Knock 3 times.
Twice on the path. Yeah. If you ain't gonna show. Yeah. I like that song.
Here you are.
We got so many topics, and you little doink. Let's go.
Oh, you said that we're running out of topics.
No, I said let's go. We got so many topics to talk about.
Okay, anyway, so...
I swear, I'm going to get my pan in a minute.
If something shows up between 2 and 4 a.m., don't consider that it's some sort of, friendly spirit, or it's your dead uncle, or your favorite relative, or whatever, or anything else. First, consider it as bad, that it's not a good spirit, that it's a bad sign, that it's a red flag, because it's safer and it's more common to be that way. Sleep paralysis. No, it's not someone coming to nurture you. How many people, did your mother ever hold you down in bed or strap you in bed before giving you a good night kiss or hugging you or tucking you in? There was some person out there this one time says it's the mother of something, that the black shadow that sits on her chest and paralyzes them. Mm-hmm. It's come there to nurture you. So that's why you feel like your energy's been sucked out of you in the morning like a vampire experience. But yeah, we'll beat up on that story, another case, since Farah's got ants in her pants. Okay, what would you like to talk about, dear?
Get to list of topics. We got 1,000 of them.
We do.
Yes.
I just don't want to
talk. People, well, you know, and that's.
I mean, when people have questions in the chat room, we might linger longer on it. But there's more to talk about that, just like anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's talk.
Not the definitive guide, for example.
We're going to work up to the Ouija board. We're going to do Ouija board at the top of the hour, kids, and so that gives us about 8 more minutes. And what was it? I think Christopher, did you want to talk about something in particular?
Outside of the list of topics, I saw nothing. I mean, they're all. I'm just ready to talk about them all. So.
Okay, good. All right, Ken, let's discuss this because we've only got about 7 minutes. The vibration on the furniture. Now, this is a unusual. When we're talking about haunting, things that are unusual, paranormal, a lot of times we can figure out what things are going on in a household just by finding out age of the house, age of the people. If you are, let's say you're 24, 34, 14 years of age, and you sit down on a couch and you feel a mild vibration, chances are it's not normal. And it could be coming from any number of things. There's a lot of physical things that need to be ruled out first. However, let's say you are over 40, over 50, over 60, and you're really in poor shape. And you get up and you bend over and you pick something up and you do something physical very quick, and then you plop down and you hear that vibration. You just do hear it in your head and you feel it. Guess what? You don't have enough potassium in your muscular structure, and it's a physical thing that's causing that. But a lot of times people don't understand their own physiology of their body to understand, you know, if their body doesn't have enough fluids or potassiums, why they're feeling this kind of vibration going on. And they think it's supernatural. And this can happen to a young person too. If your metabolism is off for whatever reason, if you're not getting enough sleep, you can feel this vibration that literally feels like almost like an electric shock that you're sitting on, and you can hear it. It is a real physical thing. Whereas what Ken was talking about and wanted to talk about tonight, you know, the physical vibration that, you know, you would sit down on a bed or you would sit down on a couch is completely different. So take it away, Ken, because I've talked about the science part. Thank you.
If you think of anything else, insert it. We're assuming that, you know, that a person hears and feels it too. That if you just hear it, I mean, there could be a number of things like Farah was talking about too, and then outside of that, spiritual. Because when you're oppressed, you hear all sorts of things. Like I said, they can wake you up when you're about ready to drift off, and you hear things that don't belong in your house. You know, besides the growls, you know, or something. A potted clay pot, crashing, falling off. You know, not really loud, but you know, like
and you
it's
don't
broken.
Have animals that are.
You don't have a cat to knock it off. Yeah. Glass breaking.
Or teenagers that are, you know, getting into something they shouldn't. Or husbands that are raiding their refrigerator at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
All those oppressive sounds can. I mean, it could just be
oppressing
something
sounds to keep you
like an
awake.
annoying. And it's like, you remember what we're talking about when you lay your head on the pillow. Some of the ones that start become oppressive hauntings, and then they hear a voice in the pillow, and then it's only when they lay their ear down, like to try to go back to sleep, then it starts up again. You know, there's been sounds like someone's got a walkie-talkie in there instead, not with the hey you, you know that, but kind of like the tinny kind of weak kind of audio, and that sort of thing. But that's oppression. It's not really there.
Yes.
And let's not forget that mice have kind of rabbit's feet, you know, like dogs and cats do. When cats itch and they go, you know, you know, like doing that with their back foot. What happens when a mouse does that? You know, like. You know?
Is that like if a bean drops in the garden?
You can't. Can you hear a sound?
Will a woman hear the sound? Yes. Yes.
I don't know that.
I made it up.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, I have a question about that because I was in a discussion with someone recently, and they were talking about sounds, you know, late at night, and also about things, you know, kind of hearing the vibration and stuff like that. But my question was, does it necessarily have to be something that we would call, oh my gosh, Oh my gosh, that's so scary. Can it be a sound or something that we wouldn't necessarily automatically label as oppressive or frightening or something? Could it be a pleasant sound?
Talking about what kind of sound you mean? Wait a minute, I think I missed something. What kind of sound? The last thing you said?
Like, could it be a pleasant sound? Could it be something
well,
that
pleasant depends on what it is.
I
mean, there was a couple that was having, extramarital affairs, and without telling the other person too, and the spirit that haunted the place because the wife was dabbling in witchcraft and she drew in the type of spirits they were appeasing was making bedroom noises, we'll say, and baby noises. Well, the mother couldn't. One of her issues, you could say, psychologically as well, is that she couldn't conceive for some reason, And the other thing was, they were cheating. Both of them were promiscuous and outside of marriage. So the spirit was kind of mocking them. And they'll do that kind of stuff. That's why sometimes they'll make the sound of a deceased one, because they're kind of trying to get to you. That's why it's called oppression. What does oppression mean when it's somebody in life, like your next door neighbor's oppressing me? Imagine that. It's not a good thing, is it? Are they coming over there and they're asking to borrow you more, and then and then returning it with all the grass clippings still on it when that was stuff? That's not the way demons work. They won't even return it. How about they set it on fire and roll it down your driveway and it explodes? That's more like what a demon would do if they could. But yet a vibration thing is kind of a unique thing, and we're going over all these variables first here because I think it's necessary. Mike, anything to add to when it's not natural, for example, versus when it is natural? Because I want to make sure that we narrow it down. I got used to carrying a cell phone in my front pocket. You know how they do this constantly, like free Facebook messages. When you first turn it on, sometimes it does it 12 times. Well, then I'd get this sensation, and it was like, it gets you used to it.
Yeah.
Well, we are talking about electromagnetic energy there, and they can mess.
Those little pulses.
Yeah.
But Ken, that would happen to me too when I took the phone out of my pocket, which would freak me out. It's like, right? Because like either the muscle got attuned to it or something, or and, if you're sitting down and all of a sudden you feel like, what the heck was that? It was nuts.
Yeah.
So there's normal things that happen just because they're normal, or something that's within our physical realm.
Yeah.
But I think if my bed was shaking like crazy and bouncing around, okay, there's something paranormal. If I'm just laying down, there's some sort of weird vibration. It could be something in the house, something going on. It's normal. I look for the normal stuff first.
How about an earthquake if you're in California?
Oh yeah, we sleep through those. If it's under 6.0, we sleep through them.
Yeah, those are yeah. Well, I don't know. The vibration on that happens when it's supernatural seems to be even more faster than a higher frequency than an earthquake. I think it's fair to say. Deb, I'm going to ask you about this because this can be a precursor to oppression or possession, and like a what do you call it, a transition, Deb? And make sure you unmute your mic. What's the experience on the side of the supernatural on the vibrating furniture, couch? Has anybody in the house sat on a couch and it actually vibrated like a bed might do in the middle of the night, waking you up?
Well, my experience, let me comment what Steve has to say. He had a vibrated bed once until his quarter ran out, but that's a different story.
I remember those beds, Steve Foster. I remember those.
It's like when I was woken up in the middle of the night, the bed wasn't so much vibrating, it was shaking back and forth, the whole bed, it was shaking.
Uh-huh.
And then I pulled the covers up over my head, and the covers were being pulled down by my feet to try and pull it down. I was like playing tug of war with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't stop right away. It was just enough to wake you up and scare the crap out of you.
Mm-hmm. So was it a vibrating, so to speak, of a kind of like a motor's under your bed, and without hearing the this. I don't know how to.
No, it was bed. It was shaking. The whole bed was shaking like somebody was shaking the bed.
Yeah. Maybe a vibration is kind of a subtle.
Vibration, but it was shaking to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, have you ever experienced anything like that, Farah? And
I just told you, yeah.
Personally?
Yes.
I didn't know you mentioned something personally. I thought you
That's
were
okay.
talking...
Go ask Christopher and Michael.
Okay, well...
I already gave the scientific.
Okay, anyway, yeah, this we got to be careful how we say this, but it's one of the things you got to look for as a red flag. If it happens at night and like between the hours of 2 and 4, that's when demons like to make their next step, of going from oppression to possession. And you might actually wake a few nights before, like when you do sleep paralysis, vibrating bed without a quarter, Steve, can be a sign, but you got to look. There has to be other underlining things going on in your house. It can be a sign that the next stage is getting ready to take hold, and that's not a good thing. Like sleep paralysis. It might just begin as something not sleep paralysis, feeling the presence in your room, and then advancing to feel an evil presence or seeing something, and then going to you see it over your bed, and you have partial sleep paralysis, where you can, you feel pinned down, but you're able to free yourself and get up and run out of the room and into the bathroom. And, it goes like that. So vibration of a bed in particular. If it's a couch, I would more doubt it unless the person spends most of their time sleeping there, even if they sit there a lot. And why would it not happen in the bed, too, if it's only happening on the couch? Because for some reason... people aren't sitting on the couch watching TV and they suddenly get possessed for the first time. It's in their bed at night. That's what happens most of the time from the case studies, experiences that we have with our studies, and, Exorcist out there and so forth.
And it's 9:03, top of the hour.
Mm-hmm.
Time to cheer. Time to Kool-Aid. Walk the dog.
Time to get your jazz guitar.
And hit a like on the video. Not just thumbs, hit a like, and we'll be right back. Just like.
Be right back, folks. Okay.
Knock it real good.
Excellent.
Hey, top of the hour. Welcome back, everyone, to the Reel Deels and our fab trio of...
I'm Fred Flintstone, and this is my wife, Wilma.
What about Christopher?
Oh, wait, that's Barney Rubble.
And Michael.
I can't do Fred Flintstone. Too rough of a voice.
We need to give something away, darling. We need to give our little bag of goodies away. Now, this is a surprise bag. The surprise is, when you get it, you get to take your picture and post it for me. Okay? And the winner is... I draw, but then it
you want
like,
Dr. Freud to pick it out?
On purpose, Dr. Freud.
Go ahead. I don't know how you can do that. He's stuck inside an 8-ball.
Yeah, we're gonna leave him inside the bloody 8-ball.
Dr. Freud.
You can't read my handwriting anyway, so
it is
hand it over.
Unlegible.
That's right. So just give it to me.
It's
okay. What did I write? Sometimes I can't read my own handwriting either.
Sonia! She better be in there.
Sonia, are you still in there?
Is she still there? Is she there?
You got the goodie bag. The goyim goodie bag.
Show her what's in the goodie bag. Or
No,
she just give her a plastic bag?
She has to take a picture of it so everybody can see it.
Okay,
Sonia,
That's
congratulations.
why she's in charge of advertising.
Mm-hmm. It's a surprise. And then everybody's going to be like looking, Sonia. They're going to be looking on the page because you have to post it on our page. So they're going to be like, oh, what you get? Okay?
What's he going to do?
Don't forget. You got to post it. All right. Onward and upward. The moment you've all been waiting for. Dun, 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 dun. Those nasty spirit boards from Hell.
Yeah, basically. Here comes the fun.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you have some history for us, don't you, dear?
Well, some basic history that people may not be aware of, and then I'd like us to talk a little bit more about why people think they're just so impressive. When we looked into some of the research, this is so funny, and we do a little bit of research, here and there. There's a number of libraries here. We know a few people that have, messed with this stuff. I have to put on my little glasses to read sometimes, folks. And I wanted to give a shout out to this guy, Mark Bishop, who does Minty Comedic Arts on YouTube. He is so bloody funny. But because, of course, he's a Brit, and, we love the Brits, and we love that whole thing.
Or he's Aussie. I don't remember.
Aussie, Brit. Oh, my gosh, he's just so funny. Well, anyway, he did, the creepy history of the Ouija board, and it It was just so much fun. I had to give a shout out because I used quite a bit of his information when I decided to say, hey, Ken, let's look at this deeper. And then, we had to look at a few other sources. But we found out that kids, the Ouija board is nothing new. The only difference between Ouija in America and spirit boards everywhere is spirit boards everywhere else were not called anything years ago. They basically consisted of, I mean, you could do this in the sand. You could put your letters and your numbers and have a yes and a no and have like a twig or a leaf and it'd move on it, okay? It's a matter of playing with the spirits. It's divination. So what's different about our Ouija board here in America is people don't really realize how old this thing is. It started at the turn of the century, and of course we're in, 2018? Well, we're talking about, what was it, 1918. And the whole thing started with spiritism, table tipping, seances. There was the sisters. Do you remember the name of the sisters, you guys?
Fox Sisters.
The Fox Sisters. They made spiritism like a household word. It was cachet to invite psychics or mediums over so they could tell you about your spirits in your house. It was all supposed to be fun and games, of course, until construction worker jumped out a window, somebody sliced somebody up, but that was attributed to, he's got a bad personality, bad temperament, etc., etc. So the spiritism led to the popular notion of spirit boards. And of course, these people got an idea, people in general. The idea was given to a gentleman that was using a spirit board and decided, you know what, I am going to sell this because if I'm having so much fun, everybody else will do too. His name was William Fuld. And what he decided to do is he decided to put, the board that we know, very similar to what we know, and call it the talking board. And of course it wasn't selling as the talking board. And supposedly his daughter or wife, do you remember who it was, the woman in his life that actually was talking to the spirit board when was given this name, Ouija, which is yes and yes, but he was told that it's actually some Egyptian word for luck. Fat chance. Not
what the heck's that got to do with anything?
I agree.
It's like luck has nothing to do with
luck has nothing to do with what you're playing with. So to make a long story short here, folks, is as we look at the history of this, there was a desire for greed, a desire to make money. There was the invitation. There was the follow-up from it. And William Fuld quickly decided to sell this on a mass marketing scale. Now, the interesting thing here is one of the creepiest history, and that's the cool thing about this, you guys, is somebody that was helping him work, specifically for the company before, Parker Brothers, of course, purchased it and decided to make it, really all over America. That picture that Ken just showed you, the Ouija board was marketed for lovers and for dates. Because at the time in America, at this time of innocence, people still, dancing too close was scandalous. And the Ouija board, 95 cents, you could get knee to knee with somebody and pretend to talk to the spirits about,
and hand to hand almost.
Yeah, literally hand to hand. And now this was like no good girl would be allowed to do this. So this would have to be done in public at a party, and it made it socially acceptable. As a matter of fact, the statistics on this are insane, folks. In 1922, okay, we're almost at 2022 here. In 1922, this board outsold Monopoly boards, okay? 3 million boards, okay?
That was 22.
That was in 1922, kids. All right?
Well, the world screwed up.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, this guy, William Fuld, the whole reason we're bringing this out here is because this William Fuld that loved to talk to the Ouija board all the time, the Ouija board supposedly told him to get ready for big business. So they took this fabulous, huge warehouse in Maryland, and they decided to, expand and sell it. And he was outside overseeing this, just a regular, little flag going up. And all of a sudden, guess what? He fell off the roof. Guess what? That didn't kill him. What killed him was when they put him in the car to take him to the hospital, they hit a bump and shoved a bone through his heart. So as he lay dying on his deathbed, he gathered his kids who were about to inherit, the majority of his fortune, and everything. He said, the Ouija board killed me. Those spirits killed me. You have to burn it, you have to destroy it, and you have to get rid of it. And never, never, ever let another board be sold. And of course, as you guys know, the rest is history here, because the Ouija board still is very popular. The common acceptance of all these spirit boards, and it's no longer date bait. It's now in pink. It's now in lunch boxes. You have to be 17 to drink 3-2 beer in Colorado. You have to be, I think it's 18 to die for war and vote. And then you have to be 21 to drink, but I think it's 3 years of age.
Well, it's 8.
It's 8?
Yeah.
To invite, a demon
It seems like
into
it's
your
always
house.
been 8, and they never changed it.
And, I think the whole reason,
Age of
I
reason.
wanted
What a
to bring up
coincidence.
the basic facts here, kids, is that this is 1922, so America's got 100 years of cursing itself with a toy, a simple toy.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at toys throughout history, how do they affect us? They're supposed to give us comfort, and joy. A toy is supposed to be something that we enjoy. Okay.
Well, they enjoy it at first.
This is one of the most dangerous toys that nobody should ever play with.
Yeah, they call a lot of things toys that are pretty much an atrocity.
And we just had to tell somebody the other day that even if you don't play with a Ouija board and you have a friend of yours that comes into your house, you have given if they've got anything attached to them, you've given them legal right to come in your house. You ought to clean your house with some holy water. Bless your house, because you've invited them and whatever they bring in with them. And I think that people unknowingly, they don't understand that they don't have to play with a Ouija board themselves. They just have to give someone legal right and legal access to something they own, such as their home. Hanging out with them, you're not going to be affected. You probably won't be affected if they go into your home, but why take a chance? Clean your house. And as far as the history goes, I think that basically does it. But the last thing before we go around the table and we talk about this, kids, is I want to remind you the rules, the Ouija board, are never play alone. Now, does that mean we want more spirits to bother more people? Because I don't really think it matters. How about this? Never ask when you're going to die. Probably, since the demons are basically bound to the same rules that angels are bound to, I would think that this basically means they're basically pretty stupid, because God's not going to tell them when you're going to die. So why
How about be careful what you ask for?
Could be careful what you ask for, because if they're told and you're told, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
And number 3, never talk about God. Why would you buy a toy that says never talk about God? Why?
Doesn't that tell you the nature of the beast right away? Why isn't that a red flag?
Wouldn't that let you know, hands off, get back, go away?
Yeah. And that's strange. I didn't know about those rules either. It actually has rules. You lift the lid up, and it has rules.
Funny.
That's the rules in there.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that. 95 cents, boy. And it used to be on a sheet of paper. They didn't print it on the box. I guess that was too complex for the factories back there. And that was in the Sears catalog, too. The Ouija, 95 cents. Yeah, we got some points on here for the facts. Any more history points?
No, I basically covered it. It's pretty sad how the guy died and how his kids didn't listen to him. They didn't really care, because they were just like, we just want the money.
All I saw was money. Yeah, that's typical, isn't it?
Because when you're out selling Monopoly, oh my gosh. But there's even worse stuff, kids. You have an instant where an entire town in Southern California, and I'm not going to name the town so nobody goes there, an entire town went insane, basically. Now, of course, this was only, I'm sure you heard about this, 1,200 people, Michael, in SoCal. And what happened is that 7 men.
I think it was 4, wasn't it?
What's
or was
that?
it 7?
No, 7 men started this off. 7 men started running around the town naked, screaming and breaking things, okay? And a couple
after playing with the Ouija board.
After playing with the Ouija board, okay? And then people were like, what's going on? So they called the sheriff over, the next county over, and then pretty soon, almost the entire town was running around naked, committing violent acts, screaming and yelling. So it was like, of course, the medical community deemed it as mass hysteria, and there were trucks and trucks of psychiatrists and straitjackets and everything else brought into this town in Southern California. The Ouija board has since been outlawed, and all the Ouija boards were burned in that town, never to return again. And that was, let's see, what year was that? That was in 1934.
Gosh, I don't know what year that was. I didn't pay attention to that either. I was just so
gosh.
shocked. Like, good grief. 1,200 people?
But I know, 1,200 people.
And they told 2 friends and so on. Or they passed it to
Farah, 84 years ago, they were probably still doing peyote out there.
Right?
That's true. The peace pipe.
Peyote and surfing on the board. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. It's just so crazy. And then, what was it, 1994, this guy named Stephen Young claimed that the board told him to kill someone. And he committed murder, according to the order of the board. And oh yeah, the board made me. The board made me do it. And then
board has spoken.
In 1966, a guy actually claimed, who was up for murder, that the jurors were playing with the board. He actually used this as a defense. He told the judge that the jurors were playing with the board, and they said that the spirits said that I was innocent. So the judge had him retried and found him guilty. Kicked the jurors out. Got some new jurors.
Found him guilty anyway.
Playing with the Ouija board on a murder trial. I mean, oh my gosh, that was just stupid.
Should have been OJ.
Oh my gosh, that was not very charitable, honey.
If the Ouija doesn't fit, you must have quit.
Ah!
That's too bad. I like the OJ and Capricorn 1.
Oh my gosh, that is just so crazy. But yeah, so there's lots of little things attached. I mean, it just there that one gal he's got up right now, Paula or Pearl Coran. This is the weirdest thing about the Ouija board that we found. She supposedly didn't even have an education. She didn't have a 6th grade education. She could hardly even write, okay, kids? But anyway, she was talking to the Ouija board for months, and then all of a sudden she started writing poetry. She got out 6 novels, okay, and poetry. Okay, she's got no education, but she claimed, okay, that a ghost, Patricia, made her do it. That she got all this information, all these novels from the board. And of course, everybody's familiar with the old Alice Cooper story, right? That Alice Cooper was a witch that he contacted on the board, and that's why he used the name. Yes.
Yeah, he said contacted someone named Alice Cooper who identified themselves as a witch named Alice Cooper. And that's where he got the name. I heard that he used the Ouija board to get it, but I thought he asked it and said, "Hey, what name should I use?"
Yes, he was. He was looking for a name for his band and his group, and that witch identified herself as like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to use Alice Cooper." Probably Deb Peyote was involved there too. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Either that or those pretty little red mushrooms with the little white polka dots on them. Yeah. So there's so many stories like this. I mean, this is just a few that we wanted to touch on, kids, but it seems that the Ouija board has been, shall we say, cursing American homes, households, and families for about 100 years now. And what are the fruits of it? I think we're looking at it in our society. I think we're looking at the chaos, the confusion, the double-mindedness. I think that we're looking at a society where instead of blessing our homes, we're inviting demons in, either knowingly or unknowingly.
That's true. Yeah, cursing it instead of blessing it.
Yeah.
They don't know the significance of that.
What are your thoughts, Christopher?
That's
I was.
Go ahead.
I was thinking that the, what way to get to the kids, because, you know, if it's marketed as a game, and like I said before, it's been a while, but I said, you know, at the local bookstore here in Joplin, I mean, it's right there with the other board games. That, you know, hey, it's fun, and suddenly you have kids having a sleepover, and it can fit right in the backpack, and without mom or dad knowing what's being brought into their house, and hey, the kids, you know, hey, what do you have, Susie? Oh, you know, let's play this tonight, and before you know it, even before the people with the authority over the house even know, something so devious comes right in under their nose as a form of a kid's game. I mean, it's just wow.
I know, just like porn, you know. I mean, they can hide it easy. They can stick it under their mattress, under the pillow. And yeah, I know. It's just, we got some things on the list here too. But let's get to Michael and Deb. Deb, I don't even know if you
want to comment on this.
I don't know if she wants to go there for.
Don't let Michael go.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just amazed how much with all these facts that are out there, the people are blinded to it. Like, no, that's not true. You know.
I know.
This is out there purchase this thing. It's crazy. Like same thing we see in our blogs and our YouTubes. Like, why are you guys saying this about the Ouija board? You're so intolerant. You're so judgmental. You know, it's like all the time. Well, it's not judgmental. It's the facts. It's like laying out a heart attack or something. There's facts about it. You're getting heart attacks. That's not judgmental.
Yeah.
That's warning the people. But you know, people don't listen.
Yeah.
And this information is readily available. Some of it you have to dig, you know, 2 or 3 pages, and that's just it. If you want instant McDonald's for $1, you're going to get instant McDonald's for $1. If you want to, you know, take the time and, you know, stick your nose into a couple resources, you know, go to the library and talk to a few people that have been around the block, you're going to find out some strange things worth double checking. And the Ouija board has a very, very, very ugly and cursed history for a reason. There's nobody happy. There's nobody building castles in the sky for homeless people and feeding the lost and you know, singing Kumbaya and, you know, planting water wells all over the Sahara Desert, you know, to get water to people. There's no great things that people that are inheriting the Ouija board. I don't see any great things coming out of this at all.
Yeah. When I was 12, I was having fun burning ants on the sidewalk with a magnifying glass.
You're mean.
And then my sisters come running down the street from Robert Marasicki's house at the end of the street. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about the names, right? And that was like 6 houses down there at the end of the block. And they were playing with a Ouija board. They've been doing this off and on. And apparently Robert... when they were using it, the board started moving by itself. So Robert, you know, like, you know how it is when the macho side comes out and you cuss at it or something when you're really scared, you know. He cussed at it, so it moved by itself, spelling you're going to die at midnight. So my sisters running like that, ran out of the house. Guess what happened? Of course, midnight came and went and didn't happen. But a lot of times they do that to psych you out, so you'll go get all... oppressed, you know, allowing it to oppress you by becoming obsessed with what it just told you. So sometimes they make things happen because of kind of an anti-placebo. I don't know, what would you call that, you know, kind of thing, psychosomatic kind of thing, or it's convinced you that it's going to happen, so you go out driving and, you know, something like that. But they will try to make it happen sometimes. So driving in a car is probably the worst thing. If you're going down a country road and it just happened, and they said midnight, you know, maybe it means tomorrow night, you'll probably see like a black thing run in front of your car to make you swerve off the road. It's really easy to make people wreck. So the last place you want to be is in the car. Look at this real quick, just to get some more disturbing thoughts. It's not so much a site. This is Cult of the Weirds. Celebrate the 125 years of the Ouija board. So, Farah, so it's 125 years old.
Wow.
Maybe when it was first incepted, that it was heavily marketed 100 years ago. I think it's probably what it was. So they're going back a little further. April 23rd, 2015. Yes. This is an older thing. You can find it real quick. But, you know, then they get all these people here and speaking. And, you know, look at some of the names here. You know, I know 3 of these people in there. And 4. But what are they going to do? They're going to talk about, the love and light of the Ouija board?
That's
no offense to my, my friends. Look, it looks like Ozzy Osbourne there. Are any one of these people going to talk about the evils of the Ouija board? And are they going to want to hear it when you go in there to celebrate the 125th anniversary? And
all these people at WouijaCon, are they flipping crazy? Are they flipping crazy? Are they out of their plum cotton picking skulls?
Of course, you know who this is.
Are their mothers? Oh, yeah, well, we know.
Remember the fake exorcism thing going on there that our Archbishop in St. Louis commented about, and we did. Yeah, so this is a strange, thing to celebrate. It's not
good, kids.
Would you celebrate it or go in there just to condemn it? I don't think anybody would. And I'm not going to attend, so I can't comment on it. Because I did hear that, they spoke about the warnings and dangers of it.
Yeah,
Remember what we were talking about last week? That one person said that, not from that group there, said something along the lines of, hey, it can be an enlightening experience if you, but stop using it if the demon can't spell because it's a demon, So they give you these guidelines, kind of like giving your kid a contraceptive and say, hey, if you're going to have sex, here, take this and so you don't get AIDS or get pregnant or get a girl pregnant, whatever the case may be. That kind of responsibility thing going on there. So we got the same people now, going to Ouija board conventions and stuff to watch and listen.
I just want to know what kind of bed Steve's on that his quarter is still going.
I want to know what kind. He's using slugs.
It's like, what has he got? What has he got, those nickel slugs or something?
Yeah, he's got one of those slugs with a string on it, so he pulls it out and sticks it back in. Here's some disturbing facts, if you call them facts anyway, but some things to ponder about. Let me start with, and we can pop in on this thing since we can beat this thing to death literally because I think it needs to be. The 8-year-old thing, I want you to think about this, and Deb, you can give me on this one too. Why did they say 8 years old? How hard is it for a 3-year-old to put their hand on a planchette? Oh, Mommy, I hurt myself. It's like...
but Ken, a 3-year-old has to know how to spell. So, that's why. And by the time you're 8, you know how to spell. By the time I was 10, I had received my first Ouija board, and the only one. And I had it for many years, until my early 20s, until Ed said, get rid of it.
Same one, huh?
Oh, yeah. Remember I told you, going on 11 years ago. And because of the fact we did mess with the Ouija board, now that I've learned so much about it, and then it's funny, I didn't know how Alice Cooper got his name, okay? Because when I was 17 years old, I was living in Greenwich, Connecticut. Yeah. And I used to go to this deli all the time. And in comes Alice Cooper and David Bowie. Yeah. And I was introduced to them. And it still was no big thing to me, And because I would see them there every day for about 2 weeks. They were recording upstairs up above a deli. It was a recording studio.
That's weird.
And one day he asked me to take his boots across the street, wasn't far, to go get them rehealed, his snakeskin boots. And still to this day, I never knew until Farah just told me how he got his name as Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
boy.
I don't even know if he believed it back then. I mean, some of these people aren't blatantly obvious. He's like married to the same woman forever, like...
And I was a kid myself. Like I told you, I was 17. Yeah. And I wasn't really familiar with his music, so it was no big deal.
Yeah. Well, it is a little dark, but then again, a lot of that stuff seemed to be kind of like what do you call it, phantasmagoria and stuff. Because he did a lot of those things that were kind of like magic shows, like magician shows.
Yeah.
But I don't want to stay on Alice Cooper.
That pertained to the Ouija board.
Yeah.
That's because I didn't know how he got his name. And if it wasn't for Farah, I wouldn't have known.
The
because
Exorcist
I wouldn't
story.
have bothered to look them up.
The Exorcist story is supposed to, it was Captain Howdy, and some people who read the Peter Blatty novel before the movie came out thought they didn't really show anything about the Ouija board except that one movement. And it happened so quick, most people in the theaters didn't even catch that. You know, where she went to touch the planchette and it jumped out, and she says,
yes.
"Oh, it happened so fast, she thought that Reagan grabbed the planchette out of her hand or something and snatched it away." But that's that movement by itself. And, you know, I guess that 3 a.m. people on that, you know, on our website would say, that's enlightenment. That means the spirit's ready to commune with you. And that's a good thing, you know. That's the kind of stuff that the shooter down there in that did that in Florida. That's the mentality. Like I said, it's this mental illness. It really is. When you don't know the difference between good and evil to that point, you know. I'm going on with some things here, but let's hear from Mike first. Just see if there's anything to add as we go on.
Yeah, do you have any cool stories about David Bowie or Alice Cooper?
Come on.
Not at all.
I got a lot of cool rock stories.
It's just interesting, though.
This is not the show.
You know, what we're talking about, you know, it's a Ouija board, it's spiritualism. It's a religious belief.
Yes.
And yet we deal with these people in real life. They don't want to budge from that. They think they're talking to spirits. You know, they don't want to deal with God. That's the hardest part, deal with these people. Who use these devices, and they're getting farther now with the you know, the spirit boxes. They move on to electronics now. That's just like the gateway drugs, the Ouija board. You know, they have more complex equipment they've been using.
Yeah,
it's kind of scary.
The electronics. I wrote some article and I put it on. It was when MySpace was popular and people could follow your blogs like that. I don't know what. I still don't know what Facebook is. But I call it the new electronics medium. I put it actually in the book to the first Catholic Demonologist Handbook, and because I saw people treating electronic devices like they were science, and instead of being just another version of a Ouija board, I call them electronic mediums. In other words,
exactly,
because that's what kind of Thomas Edison's attitude was about it when he tried to come up with a typewriter that would use some sensitivity device to trigger off typing keys, and later on we have random number generators, and you could even write in BASIC. Hey, Mike, did you ever program BASIC or any of those in the old days? Because you're...
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay, see?
I had a TRS-80 BASIC and C80 assembly language, yep.
Yeah. So, and it's not that difficult, and you know, you don't need any... Just do a random number generator, and anything could be haunted, even a stereo. A guitar amp. You know, we had voices coming out of a stereo, one case, a guitar amp, another. We had a guy on our show that said it came through a radio. It can come out of anything. You can get anything haunted. I mean, I was so impressed. Like I said, the frog from that old Warner Brothers cartoon, you know, that the guy finds a frog and he's singing, "Hello, my baby, hello, my honey," and then he finally charges tickets, and then it just drops down and go ribbit, you know. And the curtain drops. You remember that? And everybody wanted their money back and threw them out. You know.
But you guys experience this too. The spirits really love electricity. They'll manipulate anything. Microwaves, fire alarms. You know, I had my fuel injectors go out on me like 1 hour after I did a massive deliverance with a hardcore one, and I had to pray the car back. This is a true story. What the heck's going on? Oh, it's going on deliverance. Somebody's mad at me. Prayed my car back. The fuel injectors were screwing up because some demon was mad.
Yeah. Christopher, anything to add on kind of thing before I get into some more of these topics? Just want to be thorough on this one since we lured everybody here. You're kind of foggy there, Farah. Look. Can you put your finger in front of there and get to autofocus again?
Why?
It's done that before. I don't know why. There it goes. See? Isn't that weird? What's
That's
this
because, I was... Rose says, "You never told me you guys were, on TV." And I says, "Yeah, I know. Sorry. We'll talk about that. We don't go around telling people, "Oh, we're on TV," or "We're on this," or "We're on that," you guys. It's
good to see you, Rose.
We want to help people, arm in arm with other spiritual warriors like Christopher and Michael and Deb. We just want to help people. We want to help people with stupidity.
Isn't that true, Farah?
I don't want to
same here. You and I and Ken, we don't talk about how many times we're on TV.
Nope.
And we always get phone calls or text messages. "I'm watching you on TV."
I know. It's like,
I know.
Sorry, I forgot to let you know.
I know. We didn't post pictures, even though we had them when the crew was
I didn't
here.
even tell my dad or my mom or anybody.
I know. We didn't tell her it's going to be launched.
Like,
we just oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Do you want to watch us battle Satan on TV?
Yeah.
The comedy way? No.
We'll get to the Lita thing, which relates to that Love Curse episode, just because of the what you can learn from it beneath the veil or whatever you would call it. Christopher, let's hear from your side of the Ouija board nonsense.
Christopher, do you have any kind of theory as to why sometimes people are so attached to their familiar spirits that they just don't want to give them up?
I'm focused.
Well, and I'm glad you asked that, because that's exactly what I was going to say, is that, people have, and they can talk around it and deny it all they want, but people have an innate desire to connect with what we would call the spiritual world, the world you cannot see. And I think it is so popular because here is something that I don't need what the generally called someone between myself and God.
Yes.
I can go directly to connect with this other world, and I don't need some preacher up there telling me I can make this connection for myself. And so I think that's part of the popularity. I mean, Ken, and you they mentioned, the rise of the Spiritism movement in the early 20th century. I mean, here, we don't need an intermediary between us and the divine. We can connect ourselves. And, like I said, people cannot deny it all they want, but there is that drive. It's put in us by God, talking theologically here. Yeah. God has put that desire in our heart to seek Him out.
So but
yet also our fallen nature is, I'm going to do it by myself without anyone else.
Exactly.
So,
we're homing pigeons. We're trying to find our way home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, these are all distractions.
We're looking for love in all the wrong places.
Right.
That's another way to put it. Yeah.
It's like, somebody love me. Oh, maybe the board's gonna tell me who's gonna love me.
Well, just a quick thing here, because it relates to John and Rosemary have been, good friends in the past and everything, and I don't know what they're speaking about there and everything, but I wish people wouldn't cross that line of controversy. People can throw that at us too. We're called ghost hunters. Some of the people, good thing they're nobody. They're not even real Catholics, and they criticize us, or they think that we're not real Roman Catholics or anything like that. But I just want to make that. I appreciate all the, the past friendships and so forth. But Ed Warren here, I never met him. He said in the Demonologist book written by a friend of mine, Gerald Brittle, your friend and mine, Deb, he said that it's just a piece of pressed plywood, masonite, with a sticker on it. And that's the way it pretty much is, and it wasn't that way in the 20s, obviously. They don't think they could produce a sticker. Well, and I put in the first book that it's more than that, because when you create a device, or in this case just a piece of wood with a sticker, that is specifically for this necromancy, as they call it. Yeah. That it is more than just because of what it's being used for. I even proposed the idea that each one already has a demon assigned to it, standing there at the assembly line, ready to attach itself to it, and and that's to say they didn't put a spell on there purposely, like some of the record companies do.
I think you're absolutely right, Ken.
Mm-hmm. And that's
I really do.
You might get a bigger, better response, because if it was just a piece of wood, you wouldn't, get as much. So when you're buying the board, you actually paid and invested in it and gave yourself legal right of ownership, instead of just tearing out cocktail napkins and writing letters on there and lipstick or whatever on the tabletop surface, right?
I would think so.
So that sounds like something there, so.
Yeah, you come up with some pretty good ideas.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you.
Good answer.
Yeah, these are, we're going through the facts list here, and I want you guys to jump in, including the people in the chat room, when you got things to add. By the way, we have the angel board in here. I'm just going to be checking them off the list as we go through them here. The angel board, you remember what Shakespeare said, oh, no, wait. Who said that? It wasn't Sigmund Freud. What was it? By any other name is just a... Why can't I think of that? I know that one forever.
Romeo and Juliet.
Not a name by any other name. No, which one is it? By any other name is just a rose by any other name. Hey, Rose, there you go. A rose by any other name is just a rose. Well, that sounds kind of demeaning, Rose. Forget I said. That's what you can say about the Ouija board, too, that if you call it something else, like we had in there with this one down here, this little pink Ouija board, just because it's a Barbie Ouija board, it's still a Ouija board. If they call it an angel board, it's still an angel board, right, Farah? What else can we do? How about Teletubbies? Teletubbies, board. You could talk to the Teletubbies in there. I bet the demons would act like Teletubbies. Can you imagine that?
What do you do?
The yellow one or the blue one? Which one is
it? Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I tell you. We are
the Twilight Zone.
We're the Burns and Allen of the paranormal, isn't it?
Yeah, you're about ready to burn.
Oops.
Okay, so we let's see what's this is a really good question. We might have gone into this a little bit, so we'll skip over really quick if you guys can recall that in detail. Why does it affect some people and not others in the same way? And I'll let someone else go with that. I'll start with you, Farah, so that you get caught off guard. Why does the Ouija board affect? Okay, Harpo. Remember, that's my Lucy. Dazzy and Lucy here. Lucy, why do you stop coming? How many times have I told you to not come down to the club? Actually, we need you in the club tonight.
Oh, Ricky.
Oh my gosh, I can see the bananas on your head.
Why does it affect? Why does it affect some but not others, Farah? Is this
some bananas and not other bananas? Oh,
right.
Oh boy. I don't necessarily have a theory about this, but I can tell you from the people that I know and the people that we've worked with that the spirits that inhabit our world, just like we do, kids, they're equal opportunity employers at any time. Mm-hmm. You need your guardian angel. All you got to do is say, hey, guardian angel, help me out. Right there. You're like, oh, I wish that person would rot and rah, 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 I wish somebody just that. And guess what? Chances are there's going to be a nasty spirit ready to do that. The problem is, kids, there's blowback. Whatever you wish on other people always comes back to haunt you.
That's also in science.
Yeah.
So why is, when somebody says, oh, well, why does it affect some people and doesn't affect others? Mm-hmm. In our small little time frame reference, kids, you've got like whatever your date of birth is to present, okay? These are immortal creatures, kids. You don't know that other people have not been affected. You can only presume. And when you assume things, what did your mama teach you? Make an ass out of you and me. So don't be going assuming it did not.
YouTube's gonna flag us now.
I'm sorry. Oh, well, just smack me in the head and color me dead.
I'm glad you said it because I was thinking it.
I just messed up my whole Lent. Okay, where's my mea culpa holy water?
Start over. Do over.
I know, do over. So yeah, people, you can't assume that something isn't affecting somebody, okay? Just don't. Just because you think they're okay and they're fine. They have all the time in their life to go and destroy it.
Yeah.
So those entities that they messed with have all the rest of their days to go and bother their children, their animals, their friends, their relatives, anybody that's around them that is given legal right, they're going to mess with.
Mm-hmm. That's the sad part too, and very, very well put too. And it might be years later because did we go into detail on that? Well, it should be said again. 20 years later. Let's see, Deb. You said you got it when you're 10. You were 20.
10 years old.
How old were you? 20. when it started really kicking in and really destroying everything?
When I was about 25.
15 years
it
later.
was like my whole life flashed before me.
So all you guys and girls
You know,
out
I
there.
used to also do it with Alan. Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when Jason passed, I couldn't even go pick up his stuff. He passed away in England, Arkansas. So Alan said, I'll go down and get it. So Alan flew down there and he took a rental car home and he picked up Jason's things. And I said, make sure you get his guitar. I want his guitar.
Yeah.
So Alan got his guitar and his, few belongings. He's driving along, and Jason's guitar starts playing by itself in the back seat. I won't tell you what he said, but I can laugh about it now because it was 11 years ago. But it really scared the hell out of him.
I'll bet.
He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait to unload it and get it out of the car when he got here.
I'm a week. I guess, I don't know, I don't want to bring it up such a light level with Father Driscoll, but maybe in a couple of weeks we should talk about that topic again. So I'll talk to you about that after the show, Deb. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's an
Anybody
example
else?
of years, 15 years later, of it affecting you.
Yeah.
So I guess we have to move to the next topic. I don't think we can really...
We only got 7 minutes left. You're cutting off at 10, right?
We go a little bit over, but not much. Just a little bit, few minutes to see. Let's get back to our question list. I think we better do this for the sake of one of the listeners.
You can't concentrate when you're doing that.
You're right, Deb.
I'm having fun.
Okay, Lita in a Haunting was the New Age gal or whatever who, in the story of Love Curse that had that's basically a story of a case that we worked on. One of the examples I could say about Lita is Lita's a perfect example of two things come to mind. Someone who's got to write themselves into a story because they want the glory, and that's a lot of the ghost hunters, unfortunately are looking for that evidence, and they'll say they're doing it for people. Well, everybody's got that side where they want to help people, and they will. But people's, ego and so forth drives them more. But she came in there, and she's a perfect example of the psychic mediums in the Catholic Church and the Christian Church have mystics. And they use the same thing, and what they do is they see a demon where there's no demon, so therefore when they go in and cast it out, or they do whatever, in this case Lita with her crystal wand and her sage, runs it off, a demon that didn't exist, they ride off in the sunset and go call, the Discovery Channel and say, hey, a haunting, I got a story for you. Like that. That's how it works. Well, unfortunately, the first part is completely wrong because, the people involved are, in their own way, false and frauds. So what this comes down to is that when these people go to do this type of thing and then they see one thing and then they rebuke another, in that case, she brought in the spirits back in there. So we get a call from him the next day, and she said, well, actually, the husband, and his name is Lee in the show because, anonymity, said that Lita came back over, and she insisted and barged her way in when you open the door. That's why you got to put your foot against the door at a salesman's in there, because a vacuum cleaner salesman in the old days used to, actually stick their foot in the door and then barged in. Oh, no, the demon's back. She's looking around just like that. She's like, oh, no, it's back. Oh, no, it's peaceful here. No, we don't need anything. It's good, And then she went around the house and she brought it all back, made sure she put her little thing on there. And I wouldn't doubt if it was on purpose, but I think a lot of people are ignorant on this stuff because their own perception, and that includes Christian ministers that you see on TV. They see a demon that doesn't exist. The guy's standing in line, waiting, looking at his watch like he's at a bus stop, waiting for a possession. Then he gets up there and he acts possessed, or maybe these people put the demon in him to begin with and they take it back out again, or it was never there to begin with, is what I'm saying. We have to watch out for this type of stuff going on all around us and point it out. Don't be so afraid. I don't care if they're famous or they're on TV. Call a fraud a fraud. Stop it. Call it. make it your, if you're in this work or whatever, don't you got to leave it to me all the time, the big mouth. Am I the only one to say it? Am I the only one who doesn't care about my reputation? Supposedly,
right, exactly.
Because I point out fake priests and everything,
Well, you have to. I've been told that too. Like, well, you're just a little person. Why are you going up against a big fish? Because they're blatantly wrong.
Yes.
I know.
It's stuff out there. It's weird.
And it's not a matter of opinion. I mean, see, when it feels, we're talking about don't go by your feeling, but that's one of the things. If it feels okay, you're not having nightmares, you're not having anxiety, you're not having oppression, you don't hear a voice, none of that stuff. Your pregnant wife's not getting shoved and knocked over. When none of that stuff is there that was there before, and then the person says their perception says that there's a demon here, you got to watch out. And they'll be in the traditional churches, Catholic churches. They'll be in every. And they'll call themselves mystic in the traditional churches and in the Catholic churches and some of the, older Christian faiths. And the other ones, they'll be the charismatics. But you'll get that just as badly, but under another identity, and they'll be just as wrong and just as off.
Yeah.
And I think that was important to throw in there. We're getting some more hearts in there. There we go. What invites you
anymore?
To
it's gotten so bad. Can I make people prove it? Whenever they tell me I see a demon, I'll prove it. What does it look like? I'll question them and drill them until they get upset.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey Chris, let's let you in there on this thing too. Observation just from living. These people are around everywhere now.
Exactly. It's my instance with the when we had. A group that my own mother had found just offhand to come research what was going on at our house. And instantly, once I met them, they were kind of in the business. They were would set up haunted ghost tours of downtown Joplin, and then they introduced, well, we've got a reverend. Well, an ex-biker dude who, I wouldn't have picked him out from a line of ministers, I'm like, okay. And then after Deel left they had their cameras and all this equipment, and then they left, and I never heard anything again except for, well, my girlfriend, this is the leader guy, my girlfriend is she's a Wiccan priestess, and she'll come out and we'll bless the house and make sure everything's cool. And I just said, we already got a priest bless the house, we're good. So, we never heard from them again, but, they just, they get involved. Maybe they have had a few experiences and suddenly, hey, we are, we're the next paranormal, team for America, and we're just going to head out there, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Isn't that funny about the Wiccans thing? It's like, Wiccans don't have a deliverance ministry. They're all about making the problem, not solving it. No matter what they say about it, like it helped me get a job or something, and what did it do in return? Well, it haunted somebody. It's still the same spirits, and God is the God of all gods, so even your, Wiccan spirits that, are supposedly, helping you and stuff, you're still going to the lower one in the totem pole. I mean, do you, I don't know. We used to, watch those shows back in the early 2000s. The ones that told a story like Paranormal Witness and all those, which came out a little later. I guess that's a bad example. And when they had a team of, them people that claim to be Wiccans, because most of the time they grew up Christian and they're just dabblers. They're not even part of a coven or anything like that. Mike, you know how that is. And that's how it is with Satanists too. There's not very many Satanists out there who are on Facebook claiming to be a Satanist. Just because they're showboating on the idea I'm a Satanist, kind of like what do you call it? Kind of narcissism trip. Putting the symbols and everything up just for attention. The real Satanists are really quite secretive about it.
Yep.
That's just they're supposed to be. That's what secret society almost. But yeah, we don't want to take forever on a topic. We can go on and on about that. But there was how much can you spend on the time? Because someone had mentioned in between shows that we didn't say what invites an incubus and succubus. Well, is it obvious? It's first the desire. The women who read romance novels actually create opportunity for an incubus to, it doesn't just start off as a lover either. It starts off in a dream. When it starts to manifest, you wake up and it's pulling its covers off or touching your ankles or stroking your hair, if it's bold enough to go to it. It usually works its way from the ankles. And the problem is there's a lot of women who aren't happy with their marriages. Like the romance novels inflate them so much, just like guys, if they get this Victoria's Secret catalog, and they start looking at their wife, why does my wife look like that? Well, luckily my wife does, but the fantasy idea is a dangerous thing. It starts in the brain, and that's when the dreams get affected too. And we'll find in all these cases, that rarely you're going to have a gal or a guy who moves into a house and there's already a succubus or incubus there. They want you to believe that, but these are people that invite them one way or another, and then it takes a while to get the counseling in. This is when you got to be the counselor to find, in a discreet way. You just can't go out, just like you can't ask the person who's oppressed, "Are you crazy? Are you on medication? Who's your doctor?" And there's some people who do that out there, because they don't have the bedside manner, that kind of thing. If you're not qualified to be a therapist, don't do this work, because you're working with people, their psyche, their fragile psyches, or fragile spiritual. But anything to add? We'll go around one last time and close it up. Pharaohs.
I already talked. You got to give somebody else a chance to talk.
All right. She blows force bubbles. Oh, got one right on my head.
You get over it.
Hey, Mike, Chris, Deb. I will get over it. I still have sticky residue there.
Ken, I'm sorry, I had you on mute.
Is my Ash Wednesday cross still there?
Some people can be delusional as well.
Yes, good point.
Or did they take their meds today, or maybe not enough meds?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, in some of these cases, they're really kind of like off their meds. It's almost like their fantasies being lived, like they're dreaming while they're awake. And it's totally mental. That's what some of these drugs do, that they suppress that part of the brain that divides this world from the dream world. Imagine if you're half awake your whole life. You'd be like some of these guys in L.A. staying on a street corner, and that's one of the things we got to deal with sometimes.
The delusions are real to them.
Yeah, and because if their perception
Deb.
or their psychosis is more about demons, and whatever disassociative schizophrenia or anything, more at the end of the world's coming tomorrow, and they think they're a prophet. I mean, it's hard to tell at one point whenever a demon enters, just to cater to that and see if they can finish them off with some delusion that's already been installed.
Christopher?
I'm good. I've got nothing more to add.
Yeah. If you call
We
that
have
good.
one more to cover, priest blessing schools.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a quick one. That's good. Well, we can do that one real quick. This one came up. My wife and I were talking about some schools that we know, and this came up. It's like, that priest used to bless the schools all the time. She said that she experienced this when she was in a school, a Catholic school, and then the priest did that, and everybody walked down the hall, and he blessed all the rooms and stuff. They take this for granted. And Father Chad Rippinger, the exorcist of now in Boulder, was talking about this before too, that priests used to understand that the bells of the church were consecrated, especially blessed, in other words, so that when they rang, the sound would drive demons away, like St. Francis entering that famous painting, with him entering a city at the gates and all the demons come flying out. That it's supposed to kind of consecrate the air. That's why I said the last, I don't know if it was last episode, we were talking about Yeshua versus Jesus. The sound, not the writing of it, is a significant thing. That's why you can't veer from the original pronunciation just because of another language is misinterpreted or read wrong. Jesus is Jesus, and that's the name the angel Gabriel gave Mary to name him. Didn't, use some other name that's also the same name as Jesus, you got to watch out for that stuff. But blessing the schools is essential.
It would be fair if they did have a blessing of schools of all denominations, like before the day's school starts? Have all the denominations come and bless the school?
Well, that's the thing. Is a lot of denominations don't go by that. They think it's like taboo or superstition and stuff. That's how we're made fun of as Catholics in the oldest faith of the Christian denomination.
And the whole problem with that is the minute we start asking for, a pastor of any denomination to come into on a government paid for school, you're going to get the Satanists, and you're going to get the witches, and you're going to get everybody, kind of the Buddhists and everybody else. Well, I want to come in and bless too. It's going to be a bless off.
Oh, I know. And then you get it. It's offset. It's like you can see the chart like the stock market. Oh no! Here comes the Satanist down. Now it's going back down to nothing. Again, here it's going below. Oh, it's going way down. It's like the Dow falling 1,000 points a couple weeks ago.
Unless as Christians operating humility, not for to go last, and just clean the place out.
That's even better.
We undo everything.
That's a fact. Yeah. You know what they say? Jesus saves.
God bless and God have mercy on the people that come in there with sage and think that they're blessing a house. Or using witchcraft methods and stuff like that. There is no light or dark. The nature of it is what it is. Like I said, it doesn't matter if Ted Bundy's a nice guy to use a neighbor. He had bodies under his house. That if your Wiccan goddess or whatever demands sacrifices from one person, because they're on the dark side, but from you, all they want is your love. I mean, you got to look at the dark side. Don't marry this guy and make him your husband just because, he's not beating you up, but he beats everybody up every weekend in a bar and you have to bail him out of jail. Stop looking at the good side. That worked for Luke Skywalker, but it doesn't work for you. The dark side needs to be dealt with and considered first. That's the red flag you got to pay attention to, and it works that way with everybody, including Lita in A Haunting. That people would just look at those things. Or priests, these supposed, Catholic priests, they're out there pretending to be. Look at what they're doing and the language they're using, and look at the lies or the inconsistencies. These demonologists. I ran into this one guy. When their stories don't match up on several levels in one thing. One guy was claiming to be kind of a, like a comrade of Ralph Sarchie. That's because he was supposed to be a cop before. It's just ridiculous.
Good night, sweetheart.
Let's not go there.
Time to go. Good night, sweetheart. And you need to know the battle's been won, folks. Go to bed. Have some sweet dreams.
Oh, come on, you're supposed to finish the
song. I don't feel like singing. Tired. Everybody's tired. They want to go to bed.
Thank you,
Don't
Christopher.
forget.
Thank you, Michael Norton.
Yes, we love you, Christopher.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
We love you, Michael. We could not do the show without you guys. Thank you, Deb. The battle has been won. Put your armor on. I'm here to help you win the fight and do it right. Okay. Sweet dreams. Hold on tight.
See you next week. Potter Driscoll. Be here, be square.
Ever, ever, ever.